Thank you for tuning in once again. For the sake of time and for the title, and I promise you we won't dive all the way into this, but we will get what we need out of it. And it's when you are served as a meal. I want you to hear me clearly. It says when you are served as a meal. And what we'll be looking at is we will look at Daniel. Daniel's life, how it came to be. And for the backdrop of the story of Daniel's life, you'll see that Daniel, along with 3 other men from Judah, were selected. A eunuch was placed over their life, and Daniel was preferred above all. Daniel, having the spirit of wisdom and understanding, but also God went a step further into giving Daniel the ability to interpret dreams and discernment. So here we have Daniel, with the king sat at the gate, and the king esteemed him. Not only did Daniel serve through Nebuchadnezzar, but he also served up under Darius. And Darius loved Daniel. And so we will get into the story to where at times when the king loved you, sometimes the people you work with, sometimes the people you serve with don't. And so what we have in this scenario is that we have those that worked with Daniel, those that were around Daniel, those that served with Daniel, really sought to get rid of him. They wanted Daniel gone. For the lack of a better word, they wanted Daniel dead. And I'm going to show you this in the scriptures, how they didn't just want him gone from being over them, they wanted him devoured. They wanted him dead. Now let's see how this came about. Let's look at Daniel chapter 6. And it said, it pleased Darius to settle the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first. And the princes might give account unto them, and the king should have no damage. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and the princes, because an excellent spirit was in him. And the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find an occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom. But they could find no occasion, nor fault, for as much he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. We have here where God had placed an excellent spirit in Daniel. The king sees the excellent spirit. Those whom Daniel served with are seeing that the king favors Daniel. The king sets Daniel over the presidents. Now it's within the king's mind and his heart to set Daniel over the entire realm. But the other presidents hear about it. They don't like it. So what the presidents want to do, they're looking for an occasion to trip Daniel, to have him stumble. They're looking to find some fault. If just one fault, we have to find something wrong with Daniel concerning his kingdom. And therefore, the king wouldn't want to set him over the entire realm, because they gathered together amongst themselves because they didn't want Daniel to have it. But you better believe one of them presidents wanted it. And so if they would do that to Daniel, surely they would turn on each other sooner or later. But here you have them coming together, conspiring against Daniel, because the king set in his heart to set Daniel over the entire realm. They weren't going to have that. So they looked and sought for an occasion. And this is what they did in chapter 6, verse 5. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. The only thing we can find, Daniel serves his God. We have to find something concerning the law of his God, then we have it. Then these presidents and princes assembled themselves together with the king and said unto him, King Darius, live forever. all the presidents of the kingdom, the governors, the princes, counselors, captains, have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the den of lions. We have all these men coming to the king. The first thing they say out of their mouth is a lie. They said all the presidents of the kingdom and the governors and the princes and the counselors and the captains have consulted and established a royal statute. If everybody came together, how come Daniel didn't know about it? I submit to you, first there's the lie, so we already have integrity out of the window. Then there's a deception. Daniel had not conspired with these guys, neither have they consulted Daniel, neither have Daniel had any input on this royal statute. But yet they said, we have all come together. So the king called off God. King wasn't thinking. They said, King, nobody can pray to no God or man for 30 days unless it's you. So when they pointed to him, they said, unless it's you, save thee, O king, which means you're God, king. So they boosted the king's ego. The king is called off God. He didn't even think the one that has been watching over him, Daniel, with the excellent spirit, would even conspire with something like this, because the king knew of Daniel's commitment to his God. Now some of you say, well, how did the king know about his commitment? I'm going to show you. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and the Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed it, and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his window being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed, and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled themselves, and found Daniel praying and making supplications before his God. Then they came near and spake before the king concerning the decree they had just put before him, had the king sign and seal. They made this king, I don't say they made him, they duped the king. They came to him and told him, everybody got together. King wasn't thinking, because if he knew Daniel, Daniel would not have even agreed to this. And then after they got the king to sign and seal it, they went and sat by Daniel's residence, watched him as he always did, towards Jerusalem, pray 3 times a day, and they waited for him to pray. Once they saw him praying, they left Daniel's residence, went running back to the king to tell, Daniel's praying, king, and he's not praying to you. And they said, these men assembled, found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near, spake before the king concerning the decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man shall ask a petition of God or man within 30 days, save of thee, which is you, king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, this thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they, who were they? The ones that conspired against Daniel, and said before the king, that Daniel, which is of the children of captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king. Daniel's not even paying attention to the decree that you have written, signed, and sealed. And then when they said that, then answered answered they and said, that Daniel, which of the children of captivity of Judah, doesn't regard you, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh petition 3 times a day to his God. Now when the king heard this, when he heard these words, he was so displeased with himself. And he set in his heart on Daniel to deliver him. When they spoke these words to the king, the light came on. King was like, oh, not Daniel. Daniel prays 3 times a day to his God. Now how could the king forget that? Just as these men went by Daniel's residence and saw him praying 3 times a day, surely the king have seen Daniel at least once or twice praying to his God. Surely someone brought the news that Daniel prays to his God. But I tell you now, the king knew that Daniel prayed to his God continually. And it says that when the king heard it, he was displeased with himself. But he set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun, trying to figure out a way, how can I deliver Daniel? How can I save Daniel? The king commanded, because it couldn't be changed. Because the men said, you know, according to the laws of the Medes and the Persians, you can't do it, king. But we just had you sign and seal this thing. Then the king commanded, they brought Daniel and they cast him into the den of lions. But here's the good part. The king testifies, and this is how we know that the king knew about Daniel's lifestyle. The king commanded, and they brought Daniel and they cast him into the den of lions. This is verse 16 of chapter 6. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver you. The king said that. Daniel didn't say that. The king said that. The God whom you serve continually, he will deliver thee. Then they put a stone on the door. And the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. They set Daniel up. They lied to the king. The king realized they lied to him, but it was too late because he signed the decree and he sealed it. Daniel was brought. The king testifies, the Lord whom you serve continually, he will deliver you. The stone was rolled over the den. The king went to his palace and passed the night fasting. The king was fasting, neither was any instruments played before him, neither did he sleep. And the king arose early that morning and went in haste into the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a loud voice. And to Daniel and the king spake and said, Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions. Then said Daniel, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel and hath shut the lion's mouth. They have not hurt me, for as much before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Daniel said God had sent his angels and he shut the mouths of the lion, because innocence was found in Daniel. Not only was innocence found in Daniel, but innocence was found in the king, because the king did not set his heart to do this to Daniel. It was the jealousy and the envy of the other presidents over the provinces. And so Daniel said, King, you're good with God, because innocence is in you, and God found innocence in me. And he sent an angel, and he shut the mouths of the lion. Then the king, after hearing this from Daniel, and Daniel spake and testified, I'm not her king. God took care of me. Then the king was glad and commanded that they should take Daniel out of that den. So Daniel was taken out of the den. Just verse 23. No man unhurt was found on him because he believed in God. How many of us, when traps are laid, traps are set, people come against you, envy, jealousy, strife, they look to do away with you, they look to devour you or even kill you, how many of you will still believe God? And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast him into the den of lions. Them, their children, their wives, and the lions had the mastery of them, and break all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote unto all the people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even until the end. I'm telling you now, Daniel had such an excellent spirit, such a rapport with the king, that the king loved him. And not only did Daniel tell him, innocence was found in me, but innocence was found in you also, king, because God knew this was not of your accord. But the king already knew that when they mentioned Daniel's name, they had set Daniel up. And so when he freed Daniel, what the people thought or meant for destruction for Daniel, it was their end and the demise for them, their family, their children, everything they owned was destroyed. That self-same hour. The traps that people set for you are really for themselves. The danger they set for you is actually the death for themselves. I submit to you, maintain your excellent spirit. When they want you, it's not you that they want. They want the God in you. And anytime anyone comes against the God in you, oh, they got a fight on their hands. And God will always be victorious. Until we meet again.